Hello, hockey fans! Welcome back to the Hockey Flow. My name is Josh, and today is Saturday, May 7th, 2022. We got some excellent hockey games going on today. Games spread throughout the day. I've got the Nashville, Colorado game on in the background, and man, we got ourselves a barn burner. Last I saw 5-3. But we do have a special video on our hands today. Today is going to be part one of a two-parter. We're going to be looking at the NHL regular season MVPs for all 32 teams. Today we are going to be looking at the Western Conference, so we're going to be walking through those 16, give you guys my takes, my picks for who I think were the regular season MVPs. We're going to use the Athletic player cards brought to you by Dom and Shayna again. Thank you guys. Thank you guys a million times over. We love using those here at the channel and just in general. So we're going to be using those player cards again. We do have some stats from NHL.com, so we're going to talk through a little bit for each player. Hopefully it won't be too much longer than our normal videos, but without further ado, let's jump right into it. First up, we have the Ducks, the Anaheim Ducks. And you know what? Overall, their season started off really well. Kind of sputtered at the end there. We didn't really continue that momentum, but to be quite honest, it was supposed to be a rebuild year anyway, right? We're in the middle of that. So with all that being said, Troy Terry, man, did he have a great season for the Ducks. Right here, according to The Athletic, his market value was $8.8 million on that salary of 1.5. So this season, man, he was a heck of a value for them. His game score value added was 2.4 for the season, so excellent there. And his numbers were solid too. I mean, look at that. 37 goals, 67 points, 30 assists. No, excellent season. Troy Terry is going to be your MVP for the Anaheim Ducks this season. Trevor Zegras had a good season as well. John Gibson, man, at the beginning of the year looked great. Has to kind of get that together at the end of the year. But yep, Troy Terry going to be our Anaheim Ducks MVP for the regular season. Moving on to the Arizona Coyotes. This one's a lot of fun. I think a lot of people are probably going to be taking Clayton Keller here, and he probably would have been my pick too if he wouldn't have gotten hurt. Man, so tough to see that injury at the end of the year, but sounds like he should be ready to go for training camp moving into next season. So very excited to see what those young Coyotes can do. But speaking of those young Coyotes, I think Nick Schmaltz, man, he had such a great season. Started out slow. I mean, the Coyotes were a bad team, but him personally, he had a great season. 1 point shy of 60, we can see right there, 59. Put in 23 goals, 36 assists. The former North Dakota Fighting Sioux, man, that was a good season. Good for him. I'm a big fan personally too. His market value, $8.3 million. That's excellent. Again, nice value. His contract, he is on that mid-level right now, 5.9. But he had a great season. Again, let's just build on that momentum for you Coyote fans moving into Arizona State's barn next year. We'll see how it goes. If anything, maybe it'll be sold out and loud, but. Yeah, Nick Schmaltz, I think the future is bright for this young lad. Moving on to Calgary. Calgary, you guys had a great season. I know the playoffs haven't been treating us too well so far. Just one goal moving into today's Game 3. But I think they're going to turn it around. I absolutely do. That top line is just dominant at times. Lindholm, Gaudreau, and Tkachuk. And speaking of that, man, he's their MVP for me this season. I know a lot of people are going to say Johnny Gaudreau, and he had an excellent season. He's going to get paid this year. But for me, Matthew Tkachuk does the dirty work inside, always likes to be physical, extremely rare, incredible hands. I mean, my goodness, the tricks he does with his stick and the pucks, it's amazing to watch. And based on just the Athletic page here, 4.7 game score value added. That's incredible. $16 million was his market value for the season. Yeah, it was a great year, and the points don't lie. 104 points in 82 games, 42 goals, 62 assists. Matthew Tkachuk, he is for me the Calgary Flames regular season MVP. All right, moving into Chicago. Chicago's an interesting one. Another not great team. They had a bad season. A lot of expectations. They were high, man. They wanted to. They thought they were going to do really good things, and unfortunately it didn't work out that way. The season, you know what, I think in a lot of ways we just want to forget about it, right? The controversy at the beginning of the year, man, it just overshadows any real positive for them. But trying to sift through it, they did have some positives this year. At least one. Dylan Strome, he is my MVP, and that might shock some people. And we do see the -6 and the plus-minus, but Dylan Strome is one that there's always been some promise, right? And when Chicago almost traded him at the beginning of the year, but this was a nice coming out party for him. He looked the part. The second half of the season was excellent. We see here his game score value added 1.9. He finished the season with 48 points, 22 goals. He looked the part of a number one center for Chicago, and that's good news if you're a Blackhawks fan, because Jonathan Toews, he didn't really get all the way back up to his level, whether it's age, just catching up to him a little bit. I know he missed a lot of time, but Dylan Strome looked great this season. Patrick Kane also played incredible. Alex DeBrincat, same thing. They had excellent seasons, but I don't think Dylan Strome's getting enough credit. For me, he's going to be the Chicago Blackhawks MVP this season. Now moving into Colorado, this is opposite end of the spectrum, a team that is doing amazing. Right now 2-0 series lead against the Preds, potentially 3-0 after today. Regular season, top of the food chain here, right? So who do we go with? Who do we pick for Colorado? I went with Cale Makar. We got his jersey up right here behind us. I'm a big fan. Just of the player that he is, and not even being biased, the numbers support us here, right? His market value is 19, and I didn't pick many defenders for this list, and that's because the impact that they have to have on a game from a defensive and an offensive perspective to really be your MVP, and Cale Makar he's the definition of that. He is an offensive defensive defenseman, so his defense was just a lot better this year as well. His offense was just otherworldly. He had some highlights this year that were just godly. So there are times he even put the team on his back. I know a lot of people are going to say McKinnon, and McKinnon is an excellent choice. I wouldn't argue against McKinnon necessarily. Even Mikko Rantanen. Rantanen might be my second favorite Av behind Makar. He had an excellent season as well. It doesn't help when you're on a team of just so many good players. But for me, Cale Makar, 86 points as a defenseman, 28 goals, just too shy of that 30 mark. Man, I was hoping he would get there, but maybe next season. Still a long career ahead of him. So Cale Makar is going to be your Avs 2021-2022 regular season MVP. All right, moving on to the Dallas Stars. Dallas Stars are a fun team. I imagine a lot of you are going to think that this MVP is going to come from the first line, because that is where the majority of Dallas's offense comes from. You'd be correct. It was tough. The personal bias wanted to go with Ropa Hintz. I love watching him play. He's so fast and just impacts the game. But Jason Robertson, he's just been on a different level. That top line is just clicked and done so well together. I know there were some criticisms of Robertson's skating style at one point, but he's done amazing. It's been a wonderful year, as we see here with his 3.9 game score value added, his regular season stats, 79 points, just one shy of 80, but he did put up 41 goals, so he's part of that 40 goal club. So Jason Robertson going to be your regular season MVP for the Dallas Stars. All right, moving on to my Oilers. This one's tough. This is really tough. If I'm being completely objective, Connor McDavid probably is the MVP, right? He impacts the game so much. Just every time he touches the puck, anytime he's on the ice, his speed with the puck is otherworldly. So, it would make perfect sense that you're going to go with McDavid. But I am a huge Draisaitl proponent. Again, jersey hanging up behind me. I love Leon Draisaitl's game, and I tell you what, as an Oilers fan, watching this team play, when Leon wasn't in the game or wasn't playing it was a couple games towards the end of the year where he got hurt, that team looked bad. And even with McDavid playing, McDavid could do McDavid things, but Draisaitl, the team missed him. And his market value, $14.6 million, excellent. His game score value added 4.3. I think his defensive numbers were a little low this year. compared to like the eye test, if you will. But numbers don't lie, right? So I expect that number to kind of rebound next year. But he's also the impact. He takes all of our faceoffs. Like McDavid did win some faceoffs in game 1 and 2, but that's such a big piece of the game. And for me personally, he finished the season 55-55. Look at that symmetry, goals and assists, 110 points, plus 17. I mean, Leon Draisaitl can make a case for league MVP, not just team MVP. All right, moving on to the Los Angeles Kings. Kings, you guys had a good season. I don't think a lot of people expected you to make the playoffs, and you did. So a big piece of that was Phillip Danault. He free agent signing this offseason, and I think he surprised a lot of people. Still one of the best two-way centermen in the game. Defensively, he's excellent. Offensively, he had an incredible year. He really gave the Kings that 1-2 punch they needed at center. A lot of people didn't think they were going to do many things. They did. It's because of this gentleman, Phillip Danault. 51 points, 27 goals, 24 assists. Good for him. Anze Kopitar would have been an excellent choice as well. But for me, Phillip Danault had the biggest impact. He was the team MVP for your Los Angeles Kings. All right, Minnesota Wild. I love myself the Wild. They had a really good season, right? We're doing really well now in the playoffs, up 2-1 over St. Louis. Kaprizov has had an excellent year. Ryan Hartman, nice coming out party this year. Zuccarello has been playing excellent. Joel Eriksson-Ek also been playing excellent. Overall, I'm very excited to see what the Wild are going to do, not only this season but moving forward as well. Matt Boldy, man, I am a Matt Boldy fan. I tell you what, if I could get his jersey tomorrow, I would. He's going to be good. But MVP, who else could it be but Kirill Kaprizov? He had an excellent season. You see his market value just a shade under Draisaitl, so the impact that he has. This is probably the most shocking piece, was his defensive and offensive numbers are so similar. The defensive impact that he has at 5, he's listed at 5'9" here. I think NHL 22 has him listed at 5'10". He's not very big at all. So to see the impact that he has defensively, that's very surprising. And he's a huge reason why the Minnesota Wild have done so well this season and are going to continue to do well. They got themselves a steal, too, that 2015 draft. I tell you what, 108 points on the season, 47 goals, 61 assists. He is your Minnesota Wild regular season MVP. All right, Nashville. So my Cale Makar fans, myself included, I'm also a big fan of Roman Josi in this Norris Trophy debate, but I tell you what, I think Makar's kind of separated in the playoffs here. But regular season-wise, Roman Josi, he was your Nashville Predators MVP. I debated giving it to Saros. If anything, he would have been the only goalie on the list, but I couldn't do it. The market value and the impact that he has had on this team is just too great. He's the captain as well, and I know we talked about in a previous video, he also translates on the ice for most of the team. Like he's also the primary communicator. He's not just the captain, and he's also their best player. 15.9 market value, million on the market value, 4.2 game score value added. This was an excellent season. Roman Josi, numbers alone, could be your Norris Trophy winner. I'm not necessarily going to argue that. I still am taking Makar. Yossi's hanging up behind us over here too. I'm a big fan of his game. I think Nashville, if they can keep some pieces in place, supplement some others, they got some stuff cooking. But Roman Josi with his 96 points, 23 goals, 5 shy of Makar, 73 assists though, almost hit 100 points as a defenseman. That's incredible. Roman Josi, your Nashville Preds, 2021-2022 regular season MVP. All right, San Jose Sharks. Sharks, man, yeah, I know we're kind of rebuilding a little bit. It's not the glory days of what it was, but I tell you what, Timo Meier had himself a heck of a season. He did so well. It was just incredible from the start, too. This isn't something that he came on late. This has been consistent throughout the year. Good for him. I mean, he's built like a brick outhouse, 6 foot, 220. You're not going to get him off the puck very easily. Good for him. Good for Timo. His points on the season, 76, 35 goals. That's incredible. 5 shy of 40 would have been really neat to see him get there, get that 80-point club, but still 76 points for a let's just be honest, a bad Sharks team. Good for him. I'm excited, though. The Sharks have some pieces, too, that are interesting. they got to get some help, but it's always neat to watch Brent Burns and Erik Karlsson do their thing. It's just good to see them score some goals. Timo Meier was a great part of that. Logan Couture, had a good season as well. Thomas Hertl, another excellent season as well. Re-signed too, so there are some good things for the Sharks. If you're a Sharks fan, I'd be cautiously optimistic about what the future has in store. All right, Seattle Kraken, it's your first year in the NHL. You didn't do very well, came kind of back down to earth with the expansion team stuff. You didn't do what the Knights did, but that's okay. The league kind of caught on and wasn't going to let you in some ways too. But you're also a different team, and you're a different area. So I like that they're doing it the conventional way. Matty Beniers has looked great. You'll hear me bring him up again. I brought him up in previous videos, but Matty Beniers has looked great. Vince Dunn played really well this year too. They have some pieces. Wimberg, Jared McCann played really well. Speaking of McCann, that's who we're going with for the team MVP. Jared McCann, excellent season. We see his market value is $7.4 million for the year. Game score value added 2.0, so excellent number there. He put up 50 points, 27 goals, 23 assists. He did kind of putter towards the end. I wouldn't say putter, but he lost a little steam towards the end of the year. But overall, he was very consistent. It seemed like we saw him in like every Kraken highlight throughout the middle of the year. And I know in NHL, folks were cheering him on to get that 99 with each goal. So good for him, good for Seattle. They have themselves a good one. Looks like they have a number one center. If anything, a number two. Matty Beniers turns into that number one. Hey, I think the Seattle Kraken are sitting pretty moving into next season. All right, your St. Louis Blues. Right now we're down 2-1 in the series to the Wild, but you guys had a really good season. A lot of coming out parties. Pavel Buchnevich, you guys essentially robbed the Rangers of him, and he had arguably an MVP season. Jordan Kyrou. It was a neat year for the Blues, right? Kind of middle of the pack, but your team MVP for me is Robert Thomas, another young lad that had a coming out party this year, along with Jordan Kyrou, but he just played phenomenally all year. His numbers, they don't lie as well. 77 points, 20 goal scorer. Oh, man. But with Tarasenko, Buchnevich, Kyrou, Ryan O'Reilly. I mean, Robert Thomas isn't your number one center on this team. That'd be Ryan O'Reilly. But to be honest, I think Robert Thomas should be. And the depth that gives the Blues is incredible. Good for you, St. Louis. You guys got yourselves a good one with Robert Thomas. Excellent season. He is your regular season MVP. All right, Vancouver, the Canucks. Another interesting season. At the beginning of the year, you guys started out so poorly. Oh man! But we bring in Bruce Boudreau, and I would have put if I would have at the time, if I could have, I would have put money on it for the Canucks to make the playoffs. They didn't do it, so thank goodness I couldn't. But I absolutely. I like what they have cooking in Vancouver. Quinn Hughes had a great season. It was interesting to see the impact he had at the end of the year. Elias Pettersson, terrible start, but rebounded nicely. His game score value added was right there with some of the other top performers in the league. So, but team MVP has to be JT Miller. He had an incredible season. We see his market value at 10.4. His game score value added at 2.9. That's just incredible. His goals and assists, 32, 67 respectively, puts him at 99 points. I know Canucks fans were a little bitter that he couldn't get that 100 at the end of the season, but good for JT Miller. Excellent season. He is your 2021-2022 MVP of the regular season for your Vancouver Canucks. All right, so I believe we're on our last team here, Vegas, the Golden Knights. Not the season we had hoped for. Absolutely, I know playoffs feel like a minimum at this point. A little spoiled, I have to admit. This was, year 4? So don't fret. You know what? It's one season. Next season, hopefully everyone comes back healthy and they can keep everyone healthy the entire season. Jack Eichel, Mark Stone. Defensively, Pietrangelo, maybe he bounces back. I fully expect him to. Theodore is still in his prime. If Leonard comes back from surgery, better than ever. I have no reason the Knights aren't just right back in the playoffs next year. But for this season, I was tempted. I was really tempted to go Jack Eichel just to see what people would say, but I won't do it. Honorable mention, I will say, Chandler Stevenson had an excellent season for the Knights. Kind of fell off the radar a little bit towards the end. That probably has to do with Jack Eichel being there too. But for a good part of the year, Chandler Stevenson was their number one center, and he did a really wonderful job. Is he the MVP? I got to give it to Shea Theodore. This one came more so down to numbers and maybe who's more recently been in the news or been in my mind. Theodore has been taking a lot of shots for the Knights. 1-1. I think they lost a couple others, but he seems to be he's a leader, right? So he seems to be a focal point of that team, and that market value of 10.5, his impact, his game score value added of 2.6. Offensively, he brought it. From the defensive standpoint, he was excellent. 38 assists, 14 goals, 52 points. Shea Theodore had an excellent season for the Knights, and I know it's disappointing Knights fans, but he's only 26, be 27 next year, so an excellent piece for now and the future. Nothing but good things, nothing but positive vibes going to the Knights, and I definitely am excited to see what they're going to do next season. So, all right, we do have Winnipeg. Excuse me, I'm so sorry, Jets fans. All right, so we do have Winnipeg. They are going to be last, but most certainly not least. Winnipeg, to be quite honest, I guess you guys did have a little bit of a forgetful season. No offense by any means. Oilers, we've been there plenty of years. But Winnipeg, your coach leaves towards the beginning of this season. The talent is there, right? Scheifele did not play very well to start the season, rebounded fairly nicely, came back. I think he was second in market value on the team. Pierre-Luc Dubois had a really nice season, though. We should definitely take some solace in that. Overall, I still like their defenders. Still got Connor Hellerbuck in the back, so I don't know. I think this team was better than the record and the points, but overall, Kyle Connor, man, he is so fun to watch. I have to be honest, a big piece of the Olympics and a big piece of missing the Olympics and why I'm so sad is because I don't get to see Kyle Connor represent the red, white, and blue at the Olympics. Man, next time, 4 years time, or 2 years, I guess they're trying to make that up potentially. But Kyle Connor, he had an excellent season. Market value 9.2, game score value added of 2.6. Defensively, that's not going to be a strong suit, right? But he put the goals up, 47 goals. My goodness, 93 points total. Plus minus, the team wasn't very good this year. That's okay, but next year, absolutely. Kyle Connor had an excellent season, though. Jets fans, you should be proud and be excited at what you guys have in him and in that team. A lot of good things. Overall, that's kind of my trend for the NHL in general. I look at all these teams, that even the ones that struggled this season, and boy, I can see some really cool things, some things to love with each team, some good young players. So there we have it. Those are our Western Conference MVPs. We went through the 16 Western Conference teams, alphabetical order for you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know if you agree. Hop in the comments. Let's have a conversation about it. I would love to know who you guys think are the regular season MVPs. If you do like the videos, please go ahead, go in there, like, subscribe. We've got daily content coming to you. We're also going to do special videos like this at least twice a week. We will have part 2. We're going to do the Eastern Conference MVPs probably tomorrow, maybe the next day. But until then, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Let's get some great hockey this evening, and cheers!